Welcome, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and get yourself comfy. We are going to do some back work today and work on nerve lines through the arms. And our breath work for the month, or rather our mind mojo, is a continuation of breath work. And it comes from the Vipassana tradition, which is a 10-day silent meditation, but I'm just teaching you the very first breath exercise that we do. Essentially, you take this very simple breath exercise and start to do it with the whole body, each part of the body. So it's just bringing awareness with each breath into different aspects of the body. But the very first one that they teach us is just bringing our awareness to the sensation of the air coming in and out of our nostrils. So it makes your brain hyper focused on the sensation of a very, very tiny place in the body. And you just get deeper and deeper into your breath. So finding yourself comfortable. If sitting is not that place for you, you don't have to be here. It's your practice. Lay down, stand up, do a handstand, whatever feels good. Once you get yourself settled, take a couple unaware big breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just every exhale, just think about shaking off your day. Just draining any tension, stress, thoughts out of the body. And then softly closing the mouth so that the tongue is relaxed, the teeth are relaxed, the jaw is relaxed, so you're not clenching. The tip of the tongue will probably gently rest just behind the front upper teeth. And the lips are touching with that sensation of the back of the jaw and the joint hanging. And then bringing your awareness to your breath and to the sensation of the breath moving in and out through your nostrils. We are going to do this for 3 minutes, starting now. We're halfway there. Let's finish out this with a couple breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth again. And then we're going to move onto our bellies. So I had a couple requests for back and shoulders, kind of like between the shoulder blades. And I was listening to a podcast, actually coming back from Portugal this week, and the woman she's a comedian, she's talking about a lot of things, but she had mentioned that she, for a brief period of time, had this searing nerve pain down her arms, which I have had before in my life, being a aerial dancer and a massage therapist. And she was talking about how she solved it with this thing called the McKenzie method. So I've spent the last couple of days kind of like moving through the internet, looking at different YouTube videos and things with the McKenzie method. And it's super easy and logical and reasonable, not hard at all. And a lot of the stuff that I have already been doing in life. But so I think we'll start today with just a very basic spinal McKenzie method procedure, shall we say, which is essentially a nap, practically. So you're going to start out on your belly. Arms next to you and right ear down on the mat. Relaxing the shoulders. Relaxing the face and the head completely. And this is literally our first pose. So I'm going to split it in half. We're just going to do a minute or so on the right ear, and then we'll switch to the left ear. And this really is focusing on the rounding that happens across the top of the shoulders. So we've got curvatures that happen throughout the spine, just like ancient architecture, the arches. Those make structure stable. Or if you've ever been in the UK, in some of the countryside, you'll see these brick wall or stone walls that are serpent shaped. So it's not a straight wall, it's a little serpent that goes along the wall. And it's actually more stable than making a thicker wall, so you use less bricks. And our spine is the same way. So it's not supposed to be a straight line, it's supposed to be curved. It's supposed to have a curve in our low back, and then a round, and then a curve again up in the cervicals. So you'll feel this here as the shoulders kind of round forward. There's a gentle press down towards the cervicals. Go ahead and turn your head to the opposite side. And that is just encouraging that slope from the upper thoracic into the cervical. And for this last little bit, I want you to actually rotate the arms externally so the palms are resting flat, and then let the shoulders drop forwards again. And there's something that is absolutely not McKenzie method, but is a nice stretch. You're just going to keep the palms flat on the floor and bend the elbows, sliding the hands up towards your shoulders as high as they'll go. Press the healing hands down onto the mat. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and roll the shoulders down the back. And it's always a really nice stretch through the forearms and through the shoulders. You can turn your forehead onto the mat, or you can pick the head up ever so slightly. If you are picking head up, you want to make sure you're drawing your abdominals up and away from the floor. And then we're going to come up into Sphinx. So this is something that is in the Mackenzie method. It's also in the Yin Yoga series. So if you've done a Yin Yoga class with me, chances are you've been in this position. And the elbows are just right under the shoulders, palms straight out in front of you. Ideally, your hands are elbow width apart. You are relaxing the thighs, the hips, and the low back. I like to give a little shake here in the pelvis to start, because the butt does want to help with this, and it doesn't need to. So obviously, we are augmenting the curvature of the low spine here. And you want to check in with your chest and make sure that you are widening your collarbones. So you're not caving into your chest. Your chest is actually kind of as if there's a little string attached right in the center of the chest, and it's pulling the chest forwards. And the eyes are just resting about 2 feet in front of you. And you just breathe. Unlike Yin Yoga, we're not going to stay here for 3 minutes. We're going to do actually 5 rounds of this. So we're going to lower ourselves down and just touch the forehead to the mat. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, walk yourself back up into Sphinx. Hold for a couple breaths. Again, the heart is lengthening forwards, the glutes are relaxed, the hamstrings are relaxed. So if you find that you get a lot of pain and discomfort during your workday, it's awesome to just take a couple minutes and run through this series of poses that we're doing. Go ahead and walk the elbows out, drop the head down, take a full breath in and out, walking the elbows back in. Heart reaches forward, glutes relax. And walking the elbows out, dropping the forehead down, full breath in. Exhale, walk yourself back up, Sphinx. Heart forward, hips soft. Walking the elbows out. Full breath in. And exhale, come back up. This time you're going to walk your hands back next to your shoulders. Lower yourself down, forehead to the mat. Take a deep breath in. And your exhale, push yourself all the way up, almost into an up dog, but your hips are still down on the ground. Now, if you find that you're kind of in an uncomfortable position, it doesn't feel good to really pull the shoulders away from the ears, take your hands forward. Okay, so this is essentially seal pose from Yin Yoga. And we're going to drop the elbows down, drop the forehead down, take a big breath in. Exhale, press back up. Lowering down. Deep breath in. Exhale, press up. Lowering down. Deep breath in. Exhale, peel up. Lower down. Let's do one more. Deep breath in. And press up. And lower down. All right, I'm going to just rotate so that you get the visual of what the hell I'm doing. We're going to do Anya's very favorite chest opener here. So right ear is going to be on the floor or on a block. Right arm is going to reach straight out to the side. Left hand is going to come next to the left rib cage. And then you're going to roll yourself over onto your right side, walking your right fingertips away as you go. It is nice to have a little pillow or block under the head for this. Left hand is here to assist you in continuously rolling into that right arm. Left leg can drop back behind you or can stay long if that feels good in any variation. But you want to make sure that as you roll over, you don't allow your butt to go back because then you're not actually getting into the chest and shoulder. So the hips are actually kind of pressed forwards. You roll over onto that right side. Spread the right fingers nice and wide and press the palm down into the floor. Roll back onto the belly, nice and slow. Turning the left ear onto the mat. Left arm straight out. Palm down, right hand next to the right side of the ribcage. Roll over, walk that left hand with you. Right hand is being used to assist you in a deeper stretch. Right foot can be on the floor behind you or long, whatever feels good. And then coming back center. Take both hands next to the shoulders and press yourself up and back into child's pose. And then we're going to roll onto our backs for another Mackenzie method exercise, which is also an exercise that we did, well, similar. It's the same exercise, just in a different frame that we did for our body mojo a couple months ago. So you can also do this seated. So I'll go over the seated aspect really quick. It was our blockhead version. So you essentially take a block, place it between the palms, place it at the back of the head, elbows point forward, shoulders pull down, and then you push the block slightly forward as you press your head backwards into the block. It's called blockhead. I think it might have been the July Body Mojo, maybe. But the variation we're going to do today, which may or may not work for you, so if it doesn't work for you, go back to blockhead, is just lying flat. Feet can be on the mat with the knees bent, or you can have the legs extended. Palms are turned up, and you are just going to lie here. Kind of tuck your chin and really lengthen the back of the neck, and then relax. And then again, you're going to think about taking the chin down through the jaw. So it's essentially this action, pulling back. Like you're going to try to give yourself like a triple chin. This action, okay? But we're going to use the floor to push back. So I'm trying to triple chin it, push, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Big breath in. Exhale, pull the chin down and back for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, chin down and back for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Deep breath in. Exhale, pull the chin down and back and push into the floor for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Deep breath in. And exhale, tuck the chin, pull back, pressing the back of the head into the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Couple deep breaths. I always feel like my neck is longer when I do these. We're already in the position for it, so we might as well do some glute work. So I want you to spread your toes and pick your toes up, but keep the ball of the foot pushing down both medially and laterally. So inside and outside, equal pressure. Heel pushes down. Then I want you to just tuck your tail so that your tailbone actually picks itself up off the ground. And you start to take some of the weight out of the glutes by pulling the belly down into the floor. And then you're going to slowly peel everything up. And we're going to come kind of to the top of the shoulders, but you don't want to think of really pushing through the rib cage here. So we're not coming into the low back. We're staying nice and strong through our core, which means that our pubic bone and our rib cage are gently reaching towards each other. Our low back is long. I'm going to move my arms so you can kind of see this better. Pull this shirt in. We've done this before. If you do it right, it is absolute hell. okay? So if you're not in hell, you're not working hard enough on this one. So we keep that tucking action happen. This is really going to be intense in your glutes. And your shoulder blades should be, the tips of the shoulder blades should be up and off the mat at this point. So if I round even more, I can bring the shoulder blades down onto the mat, but all of this gets so much more intense. And if I round even more, I can press that rib cage down onto the mat. So now my bottom of my rib cage is kind of on the mat, but I'm pushing even more through my butt. So my hips are coming up even more. And then if I lower maybe just 2 more inches, I have to really round and really push the hips up. My butt is on fire. And then I lower even more. So now those bottom floating ribs are on the floor and my butt is pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. If I give it an even harder tuck, I might be able to get that low back without the top of the glutes touching the floor yet. And then maybe I can set those glutes down, but really just the top of the glutes, but really be lifting the rest of the glutes up still. And then maybe just the butt crack, the top of the butt crack touches down, and all of this is lifting up still. Glutes to hamstrings up towards the knees, and then fully relax. Should make your buns burn significantly. Peel everything up. So we just reverse that. We do a nice strong tuck, the abs are engaged, and slowly peel everything up till we get that nice long line from the knees to the armpits. And again, my rib cage and pubic bone are moving towards each other, so I'm not taking this into my back or a back bend. And then I tuck really hard and I pull those shoulder blades down onto the mat completely while trying to hike the hips up as much as possible. Lower just maybe 3 more ribs down, but lift the hips. Lower 2 more ribs down, so we're not quite to the floating ribs yet, and push the hips up at the same time. Lower those floating ribs, so now it's kind of just at the top of the low back. Push the hips up. Lower into the low back, push the hips up. Lower just the top edge of the butt cheeks down, push those hips up. Lower to maybe the butt crack, push the bottom of the glutes and the hamstrings up. And then relax everything down. Pull your knees in. That should be a really nice stretch through the glutes and hamstrings that we just worked. Let's take a happy baby. So reach between the knees, grab the outer edges of the feet. Try to plant the feet into an imaginary glass coffee table that you're lying in under. And think about keeping the knees right up into the underarms and lengthening the low back down onto the mat. So you hang onto the feet and knees where they are and try to peel the spine down onto the mat. Release the feet, bring them back onto the mat, drop the knees together, but walk the feet out. So you get a really intense internal rotation, and you'll feel this stretch kind of wrap around from just under the glutes, through the IT band, and towards the groin. And sometimes you'll even feel this come up around the sacrum. I find that it's a beautiful way to kind of counter all the external rotation we do in our legs throughout the day, crossing our legs and sitting on our desks. Think of how much of your life is spent in mild external rotation. And that just pinches into our low back. So something like this that has a very strong internal rotation is going to really help release any low back tension that you're experiencing. And it sets us up for our next pose. So you walk the feet in, hug those knees up, or just lift them up, really, not to hug them in. You're gonna take the right leg and cross it on top of the left, okay, or rather in front of the left. So the knees are lined up. Grab hold of the knees and pull them down towards the chest. So this is step one of this pose, and this might be deep enough for you here. Every single additional movement to this pose after this is built off of the knees being plugged down into the chest, okay? So oftentimes we find ourselves at the end pose where we've got our feet, we're like, I'm super tied up in a knot, man, but our knees are pointing towards the sky, and really we're not getting anything but an ego boost. So keep those knees pressed down, and then think about lengthening your low back down onto the floor. If you want to go deeper, you start to walk the hands down the shins, and you continue to pull the knees to the chest as you start to pull the shins away from each other. So tying yourself in a deeper knot, but again, we're keeping the knees down into the chest, so there is an action of down first and then out. And you can take this as deep as you want to go. Grab the outside of your feet, whatever you've got available to you, but knees are down, and then you pull out. And all the while, you are lengthening your low back down onto the floor. So this is, in theory, external rotation, but in an internal rotation manner, because we're crossing across the body. So we are opening up the sacrum at the same time. I find this one of the best exercises for low back. If you've got sciatic pain, this is like a godsend. But it really is the action of pulling the knees down that gives us that opening. Now, if this feels awesome and you want to go deeper, you can always rock yourself up into seated shoelace. Get that right butt cheek down on the floor, and then fold yourself forward. And that might give you just a different perspective. I find that the one on your back is easiest on the knees. And this just takes it to a whole other level. Just an option, not something you have to do. And if you are folded forward, you're going to bring yourself back up and roll yourself back. Unwind the legs. Bring the feet to the floor and just give them a little shake of the knees. And bring it back up. Cross the left in front of the right this time. Grab hold of the knees, pull down, and then lengthen the low back down towards the mat. Step one. Now, of course, if you want to go deeper, you need to go deeper, you can take hold of further down the legs. We continue to pull down first and then out second. Continuing to lengthen the low back down the mat. And let's take a moment to come back to that initial breathing exercise we started off the practice with. Gently breathing in and out through the nose and being aware of the sensation of the air moving in and out of your nostrils. See if you can get so refined in your awareness of the sensation that you can feel all the little nose hairs moving with the breath. And if you want to take this a little more deep into the seated posture, you just give yourself a roll up. Make sure that left butt cheek is down on the mat. And then fold it forwards. And if you're folded forward in the seated position, you'll slowly take it backwards. Ooh. And then unwinding the legs. Let's take happy baby. Grabbing hold of the outsides of the feet. Again, you become a coffee table. Knees pressing down towards the floor, feet holding up that glass nice and even, and then lengthening the low back onto the floor as you keep those feet in position. Bring the balls of the feet together, dropping the heels down towards the pelvis. Give yourself a nice inner thigh stretch. And then you're going to give yourself a rock and roll and come on up. And let's do one of my all-time favorite internal rotation forward fold who's and whatchets. I just find this is so awesome for IT bands, and it gives you that great internal rotation that releases the low back. So caveat, if you don't have the full mobility of the knees to come into this position, you can put yourself up on a block or two. So what you're going to do is bend that foot back so the heel is right next to the rotate, so you get a better view of what's going on here. We'll start with the right leg. I'm going to keep my knees together, or rather hip width apart, and my heel is right next to my hip. So if you don't quite have the openness through the top of the foot, or if this is real uncomfortable on the knee, or if you just find your butt's up and you can't sit both sitting bones down, then you'll just need to take the block, blanket, pillow, put it under the hips, okay? So if you got any knee issues, I would also highly suggest coming up onto a block. So you've got this beautiful internal rotation. We're going to flex that left foot. Now, for some reason, it is the way the pelvis is locked in position here that I find in my body that I get a really intense calf stretch, oddly enough, and I feel it all the way into the fascia of the arches of my foot, both the transverse arch that goes side to side and the lateral arch that goes pinky to heel. So this might be plenty for you, just flexing that foot. If it's super intense, you can grab a strap or a towel and hold yourself here. So if you're finding that you're rounding, grab that strap, put it around the foot, and use that to lift you up. Or if you're like me and you're like, man, that fascia is intense, that might just be where you want to be for now. If it feels like you can go further forwards, then you just, I like to take the hand that the leg is extended. So in this case, left leg is extended, left hand I would take so that I don't tip over. I kind of use that to keep my midline in alignment. And then I lengthen forwards. And you don't have to go far. I get such a deep stretch through the belly of the hamstring and the IT band here. And then this right leg, because we've got that strong internal rotation, you're opening up through the glute and along the side of the sacrum and up into the low back. So left leg is active, right leg is passive. I'm pushing my thigh bone down into the floor, peeling my toes back, and I'm active with the torso, taking my chest up and over. Stay open through the chest, so don't drop the head here. I'm going to do that in the next pose. So let me be super clear with how we're going to get out of this pose, because I'm having surgery next week because I thought that I would just ignore my own advice and pop out of this pose in an unsafe manner. Blew out my knee, having surgery in a couple days. Don't be me, okay? Be smarter than me. So sit yourself up. You're going to grab hold of the right ankle with the right hand, and then you're going to hold that foot as you tip over onto your left elbow. Pull the knee into the chest and extend that right leg out. Sit the leg down. Give the knee some love. So I was in this pose. So from what we just did, sometimes I like to take it backwards here. And I just rolled out of it and threw my leg out and totally tore up my medial meniscus. So, like I said, don't be me. Be smarter than me. It was like the one time I've ever done that too. I was like, I don't really need to do it this way that I always tell everybody to do it. For the reason that I tell everyone to do it. So, next one, you're going to just take that right foot over top of the left leg. So it's on the floor on the outside of the knee, okay? And then you're going to internally rotate the left leg and then let that right knee just gently relax. So my foot's still pressing on the floor, I'm not here, okay? My foot's on the floor and I'm just using this right shin and gently relaxing the knee over to force this left leg to stay in internal rotation. Make sense? Okay. Now you're going to turn to look at that right big toe. So it's very subtle, it's a small rotation. But then this is where I'm saying we're gonna, typically in forward folds, I have you guys coming with your chest open. I'm going to actually go opposite here, and I want you to think about melting your forehead down towards the arch, the median arch of that right foot. And then think about sinking your left hip down and back. So that internal rotation with this gentle forward fold is going to open up down the whole outer left hip. So you might even feel this up into the left low back. Roll yourself up, unwind, give the legs a little shake, and wiggle. All right, and then we're going to come back to that knee bending pose. So hugging the heel towards the hip, getting yourself right up on top of the hips. So again, if you find that you're kind of tipped over to the right side here, or that this is uncomfortable on the knee or on the ankle, top of the foot, you're going to want to bring yourself up on a little bit of height. Good. And then from here, we start to pull the hips down and back and lengthen the chest forward, flexing that foot. Now again, just sitting up tall and flexing that right foot might be plenty for you. It might even be super challenging to get that long spine. If it is, take a strap or a towel around the ball of the foot and use that to lift the chest, get yourself nice and long, and peel those toes back even more. If it feels like that's a comfortable place for you, you can keep going with this forward fold. And again, I like to use the lengthened legs arm. In this case, right leg is long, right arm will be doing the work to push me over a little bit so that I stay right in line, midline of the upper body, midline of the lower body. Chest stays open in this variation. And right foot stays nice and active. Right leg is active. I'm engaging my quad and I'm pushing my femur down towards the mat. Rolling yourself up. Come out of it again. Grab hold of the left leg. Tip over onto the right side. Pull the knee to the chest. Extend the leg. Drop it down. Give the knee some love. So a lot of times people will tell you not to do poses like that because it gives a potential threat to knee injury, which obviously I did to myself. I did it to myself because I was not listening to my body or my own logic, what I know to be true. But these kind of poses that really compress joints are really good for joint health. We need to consistently be challenging the body, especially our joints, as we are all getting older. This compression and extension, it's something I talk about a lot when we do yin yoga. It's so important to keep our joints healthy. So these poses that a lot of doctors will be like, don't do that. It's don't do what I did, which is stupidly move in and out of a pose. The actual pose itself is super important. You don't hurt yourself in the pose, you hurt yourself being an asshole coming out of the pose. So that particular pose is amazing for knee joint health. And as soon as I get out of a knee brace in the next few weeks, I'll be right back doing it to get that flushing of blood into the joint. Okay, so we've got internal rotation in the right leg. Left leg crosses over. So the foot, again, is on the floor. We get a nice strong internal rotation. I'm right at the knee with my shin and ankle bone, okay? And then I keep that left foot on the floor and just gently drop the left knee over. This right foot's just flippity floppity. I'm not flexing, so it's a very passive pose there. And then you're gonna work on sitting up nice and tall. Once you get to a place of nice and tall, you're gonna rotate to look so my chest is looking right at that left big toe. And then I'm going to melt down as if I was trying to take my forehead right into the top of the left medial arch. Dropping down here. And again, the more you can relax that lengthened leg, so in this case, the right leg, the more you're going to allow relaxation into that internal rotation. So you're actually going to get deeper into the tendons and ligaments. So not even so much the muscles. Muscles are like, they relax so much quicker than those tendons and ligaments. You really have to ask the leg to relax in order to get into tendons and ligaments. So relaxing as much as you can. Thinking of that right hip dropping down and back. And just every couple of breaths on your exhale, see if you can soften that right leg a little bit more. Relaxing all the way into the pelvis, into the low back. Roll up, unwind the legs, give them a little shake, give them a rock. And then let's take Shavasana, and we'll finish after Shavasana with a little neck work. So getting yourself comfy. And let's actually do our Shavasana with that meditative breath. You might even get a little bit of sacrum release here after doing all that work around the low back. So give yourself a couple wiggles. Once you kind of worked out all the wigglies, find stillness. Bring your awareness to the breath. And then the sensation of the air moving in and out of the nostrils. Bending your knees, feet to the floor. Rolling over onto one side and pressing yourself up to seated. Finding a nice long spine in your seated position. And how we started off with the neck pulls. So we were lying on our backs and we pulled the chin down as if we were trying to give ourselves like a triple chin. So it's that same movement. So the chin, shoulders stay down, chin comes down and then pulls back as if it's trying to slide into the base of the skull. And then you're going to drop the head to the right. Come up. Keep that chin pulled back. Drop it over to the left. And up. Chin is still pulled back. To the right. And up. To the left. And up. One more time. To the right. Chin is pulled back. Up. To the left. And up. Release. A couple rolls of your shoulders. You inhale up. Exhale down and back. Inhale forward and up. Exhale down and back. One more. Inhale forward and up. Exhale down and back. Beautiful. Palms together at your heart center. Taking a couple deep breaths. With your exhales, letting go of anything else that you're ready to let go of or that you just want to let go of. Imagine it flushing down through your system on your exhale and out into the earth. Thank you guys for being here today. Namaste.